Most people are walking targets for toxic manipulation, unknowingly allowing others to pull their emotional strings and dictate their reactions without a single clue. But right here, in the next 25 minutes of this video, you're going to undergo a profound transformation, emerging mentally invincible, completely bulletproof against those insidious hidden tactics that have been draining your personal power and leaving you feeling vulnerable. This isn't just talk. It's backed by solid psychological research from renowned experts like Dr. Robert Cialdini, whose work on influence and persuasion reveals how everyday interactions can be weaponized against us. If you've ever felt emotionally drained, utterly confused, or subtly controlled by someone's clever words or actions, this video changes everything for you. Stay locked in with me. You're on the verge of uncovering dark secrets that the vast majority of people never even learn exist, let alone master. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're in a heated conversation at work where a colleague twists your words around, making you second-guess your own memory and intentions, or perhaps in a personal relationship where your partner lays on the guilt thick, forcing you into submission while you bite your tongue just to maintain some semblance of peace. You're the noble one here, always opting for empathy, understanding, and harmony over unnecessary conflict. But they're the manipulative force, ruthlessly exploiting your inherent kindness for their selfish gains. And here's the kicker. It's not your fault at all. Our society has conditioned us from a young age to prioritize social harmony above all else, drilling into our heads phrases like, "turn the other cheek," or "don't rock the boat," which unfortunately just invites more emotional slaps and punches. This constant absorption of toxicity doesn't happen overnight. It builds slowly, insidiously, leaving you feeling chronically exhausted, bubbling with unspoken resentment, and even questioning your own sanity on a daily basis. If you're sitting there nodding along right now, feeling that familiar twinge in your chest, then you're already emotionally invested. Because deep down, you recognize that you truly deserve so much better than this cycle of vulnerability. But what if I told you there's a proven way out, a clear path to ensuring you never feel that gut-wrenching vulnerability ever again? It's time to break free. All right, let's get into the heart of this. Everything we're about to cover is firmly rooted in the psychological principle known as emotional hijacking, a concept popularized by Daniel Goleman in his groundbreaking work on emotional intelligence, where skilled manipulators deliberately exploit your brain's amygdala, the primal fear center, to bypass your rational thinking and trigger impulsive defensive responses. This isn't some rare occurrence. It's a universal human behavior pattern that affects everyone. In fact, studies published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology indicate that a staggering 70% of individuals encounter and fall victim to subtle forms of manipulation on a daily basis, primarily because our brains are evolutionarily wired for social connection and cooperation, not for constant vigilance and defense against hidden threats. But today, we're going to dismantle this vulnerability by breaking it down into 3 crystal-clear progressive levels. First, recognition. Learning to spot these hidden manipulative mechanisms before they can even take hold and strike you down. Second, protection. Equipping yourself with immediate, practical shields and counter techniques to deflect and neutralize attacks in real time. And third, mastery. Elevating your skills to the point where you can completely flip the power dynamics, turning the tables on manipulators effortlessly. This framework isn't about vague, fluffy, theoretical concepts that sound good but do nothing. It's all about actionable, practical psychology that you can start applying in your life today, right after this video ends, transforming you from someone who's reactive and easily swayed to a resilient force who's untouchable and in command. Can you already imagine striding into any social or professional interaction with the quiet confidence of knowing you're psychologically armored and invincible? It sounds incredibly powerful because it absolutely is, and we're diving straight in right now to make it your reality. Starting at the foundational level 1, recognition, where we pull back the curtain on the intricate psychological machinery that drives toxic manipulation. empowering you to see it coming from a mile away. It all begins with classic tactics like gaslighting, a term that originated from the 1944 film Gaslight, but has been extensively validated by modern psychological research, where manipulators systematically distort your sense of reality to make you doubt your own perceptions, memories, and judgments. Why do the majority of people fall prey to this so easily? It's because our brains are hardwired to crave certainty and stability. When a manipulator plants seeds of doubt, such as casually saying, "You're overreacting again," right after they've clearly crossed a personal boundary, your mind goes into overdrive trying to resolve the cognitive dissonance, often erring on the side of believing them just to escape the uncomfortable mental conflict. Let's look at a real-world case study to bring this home. Consider Sarah, a 32-year-old project manager in a competitive corporate environment, whose boss repeatedly undermined her innovative ideas during team meetings with phrases like, "That's not quite what I meant for the project," until she began seriously doubting her professional competence and value. The pivotal aha moment for Sarah came when she realized this wasn't about her skills or shortcomings at all. It was a calculated power play designed to keep her in a submissive, dependent position, eroding her confidence over time. Another common mechanism is emotional baiting, where the manipulator deliberately provokes a strong reaction from you, perhaps through sarcasm or veiled insults, only to then turn around and label you as unstable or overly emotional to discredit you further. Most people overlook this pattern because society has normalized it as just everyday drama or personality clashes. But in truth, it's a deliberate strategy to control the narrative. Here's a quick pattern interrupt to jolt your thinking. Have you ever found yourself replaying a confusing conversation in your head late at night, wondering if you're the one who's crazy or overthinking things? That's precisely the manipulative mechanism in action, designed to keep you off balance. We can't ignore love bombing either, especially in romantic or professional relationships, where the manipulator overwhelms you with excessive affection, compliments or favors early on, flooding your brain with dopamine highs, only to abruptly withdraw it later as a tool for leverage and control. Research from the American Psychological Association highlights that this tactic successfully hooks around 80% of its victims by exploiting our natural desire for validation and connection. The crucial realization here: manipulators specifically target your empathy and goodwill, qualities that are your greatest strengths, but in doing so, they turn them into exploitable weaknesses. By learning to spot these core patterns, gaslighting, emotional baiting, love bombing, and their variations, you awaken to the invisible game being played around you every day. Take a moment to pause and reflect. Isn't it profoundly eye-opening how predictable and formulaic these tactics become once you have the knowledge to see through them? This recognition alone is the first step toward reclaiming your mental sovereignty. Moving seamlessly into level 2, protection, where we shift from mere awareness to active defense, arming you with specific, battle-tested strategies and counter techniques that deliver results instantly, right in the heat of the moment. One of the most effective tools in your new arsenal is the gray rock technique, drawn directly from forensic psychology practices used in dealing with high-conflict personalities, where you intentionally become as emotionally neutral and uninteresting as a plain gray rock, depriving the manipulator of the dramatic reactions they crave to fuel their control. For instance, when they try to bait you with a loaded comment like, "You're always so sensitive about everything," instead of jumping to defend yourself or argue, simply respond with a flat, detached, "noted," or "okay." The beauty of this? The very moment you implement it, their manipulative power starts to evaporate because these tactics thrive on your emotional energy and engagement. If you starve them, they wither. Backing this up, studies on conflict resolution and de-escalation from psychological journals demonstrate that adopting a non-reactive stance can reduce the intensity of confrontations by up to 60%, giving you back control of the interaction. Next up, Let's talk about boundary scripting. This involves preparing and rehearsing concise, assertive phrases in advance, such as, "I won't engage in this discussion if it's becoming disrespectful," delivered in a calm, unwavering tone. This technique redirects the focus from emotional turmoil back to objective facts, safeguarding your mental and emotional space without escalating the situation. For recognizing these patterns in real time, train yourself to watch for telltale physical and verbal cues, like rapid, aggressive speech patterns, invasive personal questions, or sudden shifts in tone, which often signal that someone's probing for your vulnerabilities. Your counter? Flip the script with strategic questions of your own, such as, "Why are you asking that specifically?" Or, "What makes you say that?" This not only buys you time but also puts them on the defensive, disrupting their flow. When dealing with guilt trips, a favorite of toxic manipulators, like throwing out, "After all I've done for you, this is how you repay me," employ validation deflection. Acknowledge briefly with, "I do appreciate what you've done, but my decision on this matter stands firm." The promise here is real and immediate. The instant you start weaving these protections into your interactions, you'll feel a tangible shift. No more lingering emotional drain, no more walking away feeling defeated. But here's a deliberate pattern interrupt to keep you engaged. What if simply ignoring or deflecting isn't enough in particularly persistent cases? That's where proactive behavioral changes come into play, such as intentionally limiting your exposure by scheduling interactions on your terms, using digital tools like message blocks or do not disturb modes to create breathing room, or even physically removing yourself from toxic environments when possible. To build lasting emotional immunity, incorporate journaling as a post-encounter ritual. Note down the triggers, your responses, and what worked, effectively rewiring your neural pathways according to principles from cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. You're not merely surviving these encounters anymore. You're actively shielding yourself, creating an impenetrable barrier. Let me pose this rhetorical question to drive it home. Are you ready to step into a world where you never feel manipulated or off balance again, where your peace is non-negotiable? Now, ascending to the pinnacle, Level 3, Mastery, where you transcend basic defense and elevate yourself to a position of true psychological superiority, not just neutralizing threats, but dominating the underlying dynamics with finesse and authority. One advanced technique to master is mirroring with amplification, inspired by research in neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, where you subtly reflect the manipulator's own tactic back at them in an exaggerated yet composed way to expose its absurdity without direct confrontation. For example, if they're gaslighting you with, "You must be imagining things," respond thoughtfully with, "That's an interesting perspective. My memory of the events differs quite significantly. Care to clarify?" This plants seeds of doubt in their mind, flipping the power imbalance and forcing them to justify themselves. What truly separates the psychologically masterful, the elite few, from everyone else who remains vulnerable? It's their unwavering ability to maintain frame control, a key concept from social psychology studies on interpersonal dynamics, where you define and hold the reality of the interaction, refusing to let others dictate the narrative or emotional tone. Practice this by entering any room or conversation with intentional, confident body language, shoulders squared back, steady eye, contact, and a relaxed yet assertive posture that non-verbally signals your invincibility and commands respect from the outset. For historical anchoring, consider the wisdom of Niccolò Machiavelli in The Prince, who advised leaders to appear merciful and approachable while acting decisively and unyieldingly when necessary. Apply this ethically in your life by blending genuine empathy with ironclad boundaries, ensuring you're protected without becoming the aggressor. To solidify your mastery, incorporate pre-framing rituals. Before any potentially charged interaction, take a moment to affirm internally or aloud, I am in full control of my responses and this situation, priming your subconscious mind for success and resilience. While most people operate on autopilot, reacting impulsively to provocations, you now anticipate moves like a chess grandmaster, turning their attempted manipulations against them seamlessly. A practical example: if a narcissistic individual boasts excessively to diminish your achievements, don't compete. Masterfully respond with, "That's truly impressive. How did you navigate the specific challenges along the way?" This forces them into a vulnerable position, revealing cracks in their facade and weakening their hold. At this level, you're operating in the elite echelons, untouchable, radiating quiet power, and effortlessly commanding the respect you deserve without uttering a single demanding word. Here's another pattern interrupt to reinforce your progress. Can you already envision the profound freedom that comes from never second-guessing your own reality or decisions again, where every interaction bends to your empowered frame? To bridge the gap from theory to tangible change, let's ground this in real-world application with 3 detailed scenarios, contrasting the old you versus the new you to illustrate the transformation and make it immediately actionable in your daily life. First scenario: the workplace, where a manipulative coworker tries to steal credit for your ideas during a team meeting by vaguely claiming, "We all contributed equally." The old you might stay silent or weakly protest, walking away feeling undervalued and frustrated. But the new you recognize this as subtle gaslighting aimed at eroding your position. Protect yourself by calmly stating, "Actually, I led and executed that specific component. Let's clarify roles moving forward to ensure accuracy." And master the dynamic by following up with a preemptively sent email to the team documenting contributions with facts and timestamps. The outcome? Not only do you secure the recognition and potential promotion you deserve, but you also earn unspoken respect from colleagues who witness your composed authority. Second scenario: in personal relationships, say your partner resorts to the silent treatment after a minor disagreement, leaving you racked with guilt and anxiety. The old you would chase after them with apologies, even if unwarranted, reinforcing their control. The new you spots this as classic emotional baiting designed to punish and manipulate, protects by responding with, "I'm available when you're ready to discuss this maturely and openly," and masters by redirecting your energy into self-care activities like exercising, reading, or pursuing a hobby that reaffirms your independence. Result: either the relationship evolves into a healthier, more balanced dynamic, or you gain the clarity to exit gracefully, preserving your emotional well-being. Third scenario: social gatherings, such as a party where a supposed friend drops a backhanded compliment like, "You look a bit tired lately. Is everything okay at home?" probing for weaknesses. The old you brushes it off with a fake smile, but internally stings from the undercut. The new you detects the invasive manipulation attempt, protects with a neutral deflection like, "I'm feeling great, thanks for asking," and masters by smoothly redirecting the conversation. "How about you? How's your week been shaping up?" This not only neutralizes the probe, but positions you as the gracious controller of the dialogue. The transformation across these is clear, from feeling drained and reactive to emerging dominant, confident, and empowered. To make this stick, apply it today. Choose one scenario from your life, script out your new you response in a notebook or on your phone, and rehearse it mentally. You'll witness the immediate empowerment ripple through your interactions, solidifying your mental invincibility. Now that you've absorbed this potent knowledge, it's crucial to acknowledge the immense power it bestows. Power that could be dangerous if wielded irresponsibly, but in your hands, it's a noble tool for self-protection and empowerment, not for predatory manipulation of others. Always remember, as ethical psychology frameworks emphasize, true inner strength lies in shielding yourself and the vulnerable around you, fostering authentic connections rather than exploiting weaknesses. By mastering this, you've joined an exclusive small percentage, perhaps only 5% of the population, who can see through the hidden psychological games that most people navigate blindly, day in and day out. This exclusivity gives you a significant edge in life, but with it comes an inherent responsibility. Anchor yourself firmly in integrity, using these insights to promote positive, respectful interactions and to call out toxicity when it threatens harmony. Frame every application through this lens of ethical guardianship, ensuring your actions align with building a better, more aware world, rather than perpetuating cycles of harm. As we wrap this up, reflect on this. You're fundamentally not the same person who clicked play on this video just 25 minutes ago. You've evolved into someone mentally invincible, capable of spotting the invisible strings of toxic manipulation from afar and severing them with precision and ease. The once hidden game of power dynamics, influence, and control that plays out in every human interaction? You now navigate it masterfully, always on your own empowered terms. To take your skills even further into next-level territory, be sure to check out my upcoming video on detecting and dismantling covert narcissists in your life. The link is right there in the description below. And to leave you with a memorable anchor, recall this timeless quote from the ancient strategist Sun Tzu in The Art of War. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. You've just achieved that supreme victory. Stay forever bulletproof, my friend.